Hi, I'm Spencer,
And I'm Blake.
and you're about to get jumped.
Welcome to episode 264 of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a weekly podcast where we watch the anime so you don't have to.
But you should still totally watch the anime.
This week on Get Jumped, we're watching Fire Force episodes 17 through 20, plus the first 3 episodes of Sentenced to be a Hero, where the heroes are better than they seem from the outside, despite being either an extension of a totalitarian government or being sentenced to heroism as a punishment for past misconduct.
Well, I mean, I'm going to throw it out there that really any time that you have to be a hero, it's not always of your own volition. I get that people are, see it as their cause and things like that, but sometimes it's thrust upon you. And if you're interested in that, I have this sword over here that happens to be in a stone, and if you can pull it out, I'm sure you won't have to become the King of England. Anyways, let's jump in.
Well, I have some concerns. Here they are. You're conflating heroism with political office. Specifically, monarchic political office.
Yeah.
Gained through, I don't know, a magical scavenger hunt.
Yeah, I heard that any time that you meet somebody nowadays that is a woman that lives in a lake, you should take all of her advice in order to become the King of England.
Yeah, and any arms that she happens to share with you.
Yeah. I mean,
I
especially
also,
if she gives you a sweet sword.
well, yeah, I mean, it's a sweet sword. What are you supposed to do? Say no like an idiot. I also heard that, not heard, but while you were saying that, I had the shower thought of like, I think a lot of people romanticize heroism because the protagonists in our stories are heroes, and we live in our anime world. We live in a world of like powerful hero characters who are fighting for justice, and we also have a bunch of like superheroes and a lot of our popular media right now. But really, I think people respond to heroes because heroes are generally seen as good people and standing up for the qualities and principles that make someone a good person. But actually, I kind of think that like Sentenced to be a Hero has it right, which is that like being a hero kind of sucks. Because I'm like, if you're the superhero, like when you're going around being your normal everyday self, you're just being like a good person. When you're actually being the hero part, it's because you're reacting to something bad or someone bad, and that probably sucks a lot, or is at least a very uncomfortable tension until the whole situation is resolved, and then you can return from being a hero to just being like a good person. So like being a hero, it maybe is always a punishment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this week we watched some screen time. I didn't watch any other anime specifically. I do think that Blake and I are going to be covering the second season of One Piece live action on the
Oh,
show.
is
So
that
if
out
you're
yet?
interested in us talking about that, let us know. I also have a quick surprise to share with everybody. Blake, tell us about your news, and I will be returning very shortly with a present that
My
you, the listener, could win.
Tell us about my news. Like what's been going on in my life? Uh Nothing. Work's been hard, but only today. It was fine the last few days, but not today. Today it was hard. Are you back yet?
I haven't returned yet.
Oh.
Listen to me with this Foley sound of me opening presents.
Oh. What are you buying presents for the podcast?
No, we got sent them. I'll show them
Oh.
momentarily.
Well, this is really going to spoil some of the fun because I cannot see you.
All right. Well, I have returned. And with all that sweet Foley action, the first thing that I am going to be showing that you, the listener, can be a part of. I'm going to be posting about this when I post this episode this upcoming week, and how you can enter in to win said thing. But the first thing that we're going to be doing is going to be this one, which is going to be a Funko Pop of Naruto. It's really awesome. It was sent to us by our bros over at the Geekly Grind.
Nice.
And you can win this one. It's Funko Pop Naruto Shippuden, Naruto Umazaki Sasuke's Paw Encyclopedia Edition. It's 1980 of the Funko Pops. So if you're one of those people that collects those, you could get this. And then I thought this one would be sweet for you to know it exists, but you're not going to be able to get it though, Blake. Is going to be the Nano Blocks. It is the Pokemon edition. And it includes, I believe, all of the fire starters.
All
So
9
it's
fire
got
starters?
no, it only has 6. So it's 6 fire starters, it looks like. No, some of them are evolutions. So there's a Charmander, a Fennekin, a Tepig, a Charizard, a Cyndaquil, and a Chimchar.
Okay.
So if you're interested in those, that will be also in one of our giveaways coming up soon. But this is something that we've really liked to do in the past. We haven't been able to always do this kind of stuff. We still have a couple of things from when we did it before that are still available to give away as well. So I am going to be putting those up as some things as well in the future.
So where do I go to win these things? If I'm listening or watching now.
I will post about it, but if you go to any of our social media, one of the things that we're trying to do here is we want to give back to our community, number one, and number two, when we get sent cool stuff like this, we're not going to keep it. So we want to send it off to somebody who's listening. And the other thing is we are always bad at social media. So in order to get that to continue to pull up, we are just looking for a like, a follow, and to tell somebody about it. So a retweet talking about this said thing giveaway you can do, and you'll be entered in for said fun thing. So
you said retweet, and I remembered that website has changed its name. Not that we use the new name because that's stupid.
I mean, I still say retweet.
But like, yeah, that's something I never thought. Like, I'm pretty sure retweet was like the official like company terminology for reposting something on that website. And now I'm like, what is it? A reeks? Like, what's the new thing? Yeah. What's the stupid fucking new thing?
Well, after after our fun thing, let's talk about this thing that we watched this week. It's called Sentenced to be a Hero, and let's talk about the pretty dumb girl in the room.
This has
or the pretty dumb boy in the room. The pretty dumb show in the room.
This has a much longer name. When I looked it up, I think the show is just called Sentenced to be a Hero, but the light novel series, I guess, is Sentenced to be a Hero: the prison records of Penal Hero Unit 9004. So this was written by Rocket Shokai, illustrated by Mephisto. It began its life as a web novel in October of 2020, then began being published as a light novel in September of 2021, and then a manga adaptation started in March of 2022 in a web magazine. The anime series that we watched was produced by Studio Kai and premiered in January of this year, 2026. So it's still pretty new. And I also misspoke in the intro. I only watched 2 episodes, not 3, because the first episode is an hour long, which is very atypical. So it's about 3 episodes worth of content, but I only watched 2 of them. So if you watch the third one, I don't know what you're talking about.
I got a really weird feeling while I was watching this. The first episode specifically. That's all I was able to make it through. Because while I was watching it, I was haunted by the feeling that I was feeling like not only was there a plot hole, but many plot holes. And also, the voice acting was good, the animation was fucking fantastic, but the story felt fucking flat, and so did the dialogue. And I was like, what is happening here? And it is generally a show that seems like it would be exactly up my alley, but at the same time, it is just so badly written is what I think, that it just does not hit at all for me, which is so frustrating because it's like a really fucking cool premise, but it just falls flat over and over again for me. Did you feel that too? Like when they had like specific questions to answer, they just like hand waved so often or gave like ultra vague responses. I'm just baffled by how much this seems to be boggled. I don't know if it's something that is going to be shored up as the show continues to go on. I don't know if there's some big fans of this show that we can talk to about this. Like, is it gonna get better? Because I swear, like, man, it just did not feel like the wording of anything that they were talking about made any sense. Like, why don't the people that are like the military know who these heroes are when they arrive? Like, they don't immediately know who they are. This goddess that is with them, she doesn't ever really do anything at the very beginning, except for she's like basically like a nuclear weapon. And then at the same time, like, we don't get any kind of information about like what these monsters are, why these monsters are here, why this guy was able to just run off with a casket, why he stole the casket. He was like, I don't know why I took it. And he's just like, well, why did you take it? And he was like, I don't know. I saw it there and I had to take it. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, give the characters more depth. They feel so 2D in this first episode. I don't know. I've got gripes.
I'm genuinely surprised you didn't like this.
Oh yeah, I was left stunned by how bad the writing was.
Yeah, I
And
do not share that opinion at all. I think the writing was fine. I don't recall having any specific gripes with the dialogue. I do think it's tropey. Uh, so it's not particularly original from that standpoint. But I like the little what original things are happening here are fun. I like the fact that like the villains are like forest creatures that have been warped by like a demonic fungus. That's cool. And I like the core concept that's sort of laid out in the title is that heroes in this world are a bad thing.
mhm.
In that it's a sentence. You're basically a criminal serving a sentence as a hero, and the military around you, even though you are allied with them, they don't treat you with respect. They're not happy to see you because you are a criminal. You did a bad thing. I think there's really interesting tension here between the fact that like the heroes are clearly imbued with high levels of power. They're able to dispatch enemies and survive attacks much more efficiently than the soldiers in the army are. And they are also in some way able to be revived from death. It seems to, what I'm inferring based off of what some characters have said, is that if you're killed, but there's a nearby body that's available to you, your consciousness can be put into it and you can be revived. But they also mention several times that being revived creates sort of like a fracture in your soul or your psyche. So the more times you're revived, the more you sort of lose your memories and your sense of self, and you
Yeah,
become
which is
kind of just like a husk of a killing
it.
machine.
It's just left with such cool premises, and I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I swear there are so many people that are online that are completely like galvanized, or not galvanized, but polarized by this show, and it's specifically like the first couple of episodes, because a lot of people are just like guffawing off of how good this show is, right? They're just like left like, man, this is just so good, so peak. And I'm just like, it's beautiful. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong. Like, the premise is cool. The animation is beautiful. The voice acting is solid. My gripe is that I felt like they did first pass writing inside of this episode, and it felt very one note when like they were doing a lot of the dialogue. There's so many moments where it's just like it feels like it has these glaring like plot holes that should be filled already. Like, weren't you confused when like they went down there to like, save these military guys, and they were just like, the military guys were just like, who are you? And I'm just like, you have to know that there are these heroes, because like this is this massive organization of heroes that are like from the penal colonies. Like, don't why, and also like, why are they advancing? And I don't know. I'm left with just like so many questions, which like I guess that could be argued that that is like a writing style where it's just like you give the audience as little as possible so they're coming back for answers, right? But it really really feels like they didn't do enough passes to give like tighter dialogue to the different people that were in this episode. They just they felt flat a lot of times, but I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
the way I felt.
I just don't feel that way, and I think it's interesting. If you, I didn't look up any dialogue online about this, so if you're seeing some people feel, if you're seeing that like people are reacting strongly or positive or strongly negative, it may be that that's more widespread. Obviously, also hard agree. It looks great, and the action sequences are really fun. So like, I think it's worth watching to see if you like it because it's really pretty and it's really fun, like fantasy action. But yeah, for me, without obviously going back and sort of rewatching with an ear for like how the dialogue is written, like nothing stood out to me as being odd or as being half baked from a dialogue standpoint. There was plenty of stuff where I was like, this is tropey, it's fine. But yeah, as far as like that goes, I didn't pick up on anything like that. And I will say that
Yeah.
your specific gripe about like feeling confused or feeling like you were being left out of too much information, I did not feel. But I will say that I did like one thing that I think they don't really talk about is the fact that like being a hero is a punishment. They just show you it by this guy being a hero, being announced as a hero, being said to be a hero, and having everybody around him react negatively. You can then continue that inference to its logical conclusion, which is that show is called Sentenced to be a Hero. So being a hero must be a punishment. And they get a little bit into that, I think, at the end of the first episode, where
Yeah.
the last 10 minutes or so, they go into him actually feeling like he did something wrong and I think showing scenes of him being made into a pariah publicly or being punished, sentenced, whatever. But yeah, I think something that you did, I think that that sense that you had of things being half baked or unexplained was actually one of the things that I thought made this better than most things, which
Hmm.
is it picks up in the middle of stuff. It does not hold your hand. It trusts that you'll be able to figure it out as you go along. And I will say,
Yeah.
one of the things, if this wasn't called Sentenced to be a Hero, or being a hero is a punishment, my life as a hero in this fantasy world, or whatever the fuck they would call it, like if the title didn't give away that sort of core aspect of the premise, I think I would have come out of these first two episodes that are 3 episodes worth of length being like, wait, what? He's a hero. They call him a hero. why is that bad? And I do think that there's that aspect of like, this is, this is a word that's being used as a classification of something in this world that usually in pretty much every other piece of media and also our real world is not a title, but is just an adjective, something that you can use to describe a person, or I guess a person's actions. But like, hero isn't an official job title, but it is
Hmm.
in this world. And in this world, the job title of hero carries with it disdain and dishonor. And that is not immediately apparent because the word hero is sort of anachronistic to that. And it's one of the things that I think the premise does really well, which is to take that concept that heroes are always good and heroes are always welcome, and inherently turn it on its head by saying like heroes are never welcome, whether or not they're good, and maybe they're doing good only because that they're being compelled to by this social punishment or perhaps magical punishment. Um, and I don't know. I agree. There's lots of questions. I'm like, he's been sentenced to be a hero, but what is the mechanism of that sentence that has made him so much more incredibly powerful? Like he has anime powers, and the soldiers don't. The soldiers are just guys.
Yeah.
Clearly, you can easily infer that becoming a hero does that, but it's not explained how or why, whether or not his powers are special or more or less than the average hero, etc. Obviously, we
Yeah.
have a character that's a goddess, and you learn a little bit about the goddess from his interactions with her. But yeah, I think overall, what I liked about this was that it doesn't. She's not introduced as a goddess, and then the character doesn't have a dialogue or an internal monologue, or there's not like some sort of narrative voiceover that says goddesses in this world, goddesses are blah blah blah, and like that's so
Yeah.
common. And that, I mean, almost all of the shows that we watched, they will find a way to tell you the rules and then proceed, and this show absolutely refuses to do that. um
Yeah, and I will say like there is something to be said about leaving people in confusion and questions. I agree that that is a thing, and that is a valid way to drop people in, and I have been okay with that before. Um, I mostly felt that like the characters not knowing what things were and being confused all the time, and the dialogue just felt a little bit stilted to me. There's a lot of people that agree with the way that I feel. However, it is one of those things where like I am willing to give the show, because it has a cool premise and it has very good art style, another chance. I'm probably going to continue watching it just to know what's going on here. It sounds like Blake is interested as well. So there's my opinion from it. I don't know if other people will have that same feeling of it. It appears to have horribly polarized people online. I've seen a lot of people on the plus and the minus side of things. So take with that what you will. Um,
yeah,
and feel free to enjoy it if you want to.
I'm really curious. I do think I think I'm really surprised that you had a different experience, but I'm not sitting over her being like, what the fuck did you watch, or like thinking that you're just completely wrong. But I am curious to hear like what people's experiences were, to sort of expand that discussion on like people that liked it, people that didn't like it. But I also
Yeah,
think that at the end of the day, it's worth checking it out just because the animation is beautiful, and it starts right in the middle of it. I mean,
yeah,
things are happening from the first frame. So
yeah,
check it out. The first episode's an hour. If you're not feeling it, dip after 20 minutes. But like, yeah, I think whether or not you fall more on my side of things or more on Spencer's side of things, this is one that I think we can both comfortably recommend, that you might find yourself liking, and that it has enough stuff to recommend it to check out. Like it's not a complete whiff. I mean,
yeah,
even from your frustrations and reservations about it, like there's stuff about this that's clearly worth checking out, and for you it just like didn't land the plane, and for me it did. So
Yeah.
I think
And
you
I
viewers, listeners should check it out yourselves and see how you feel, and then also jump on to one of our social medias and tell us it. Pop into our
yeah, for
Discord,
sure.
hit up the Reddit, like talk to us about it because I'm really curious.
Yeah. Well, with all that being said, we have our normally scheduled anime to watch this week. This week it was Fire Force. I am putting a minute on the clock. Hold on, let me get my stopwatch pulled up. And with that being said, Blake, you have a minute to explain to us what happened previously on Fire Force, and go.
In Fire Force, there are people that spontaneously combust into fire demons, and there's an organization called the Fire Force that defeats these demons, effectively, ultimately killing the person that turned into a fire demon and puts them to rest. And the world of Fire Force has sort of warped around this phenomenon, centered on the major organization that runs the Fire Forces. And one of our main character named Shinra has joined the Fire Force Company 8, which is also trying to figure out why people are turning into infernals and what the organization at the center of it might have knowledge on that they're not sharing with everyone. There's an organization called the White Clad, run by a character named the Evangelist, that is trying to find something called the Idola Burst, which is a special type of flame generation that can interact with the main flame that runs society called Amaterasu and kill all humans, I guess. And maybe our hero Shinra has that. All right, I ran over a few seconds, but I'm calling that fair.
Yeah, maybe I'll add some Oscar music underneath to play you off.
The Oscars were just this past weekend, so it's, appropriate in our
Are you
society.
feeling golden, Blake?
No, I hate you.
Anyways, we're going to pick up with episode 17, Black and White and Gray, the three colors. So here we go. The fight has continued from our previous episodes that we were watching.
Which you don't know about because I didn't have enough time.
Yeah, Hibana is going to be one of the captain. She's swinging in to rescue Shinra immediately from being wrapped up inside of Giovanni's coils. He had left like a metallic rope that was wrapped around him from before because he was going to be taking him back to the White Clad. What's that?
It's probably steel wire.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he left Shinra tied up because maybe Shinra is the guy they're looking for, and he went to go make Vulcan's day way worse. He's looking for a key to Amaterasu, which we don't really know what that means. We just know that Amaterasu is fire or an energy generator or something. It hasn't really been explained. But we do know that this guy Vulcan, the inventor who hates the Fire Force, his dad was like the main architect of it, and now this guy Giovanni is here looking for the key to it, and Vulcan is genuinely like, I don't know about any key, I don't know what you're talking about. And Vulcan did not, or Giovanni did not like that, and beat him up and shot his kid friend, and then smashed his, I don't know, pet project of making a projector of animals. And then found the key.
His special project, Blake.
Yeah.
His special project.
It's a pet project because it makes animals.
Yeah. Anyways, Giovanni is going to eventually find this key. It's inside of the projector, not without Shinra coming in and trying to save the day. But the problem is that he is going to fight against Lisa. She has this ability, which is also a pyrokinetic ability, except for hers, is attracted to the magnetic force of the body of the person that she's fighting against, which is pretty cool. It's like an automatic response to things. So instead of her having to control it and tell it what to do and focus on what the opponent is doing, it's like the automatic response that Gaara has, where it's like its ultimate defense, except for hers is like offense and defense at the same time, with like a a flame squid monster that's protecting her.
Yeah, she's kind of doing
It's
the
a
thing
pretty
that
cool
Katara
ability.
does in
Yeah,
Avatar,
yeah,
where
yeah,
she does
yeah.
the octopus
The
form.
octopus form.
Yeah, and I also just googled it because while watching this, they explained like her flames react to magnetism, and I was like, is this real
But
fire stuff or are they twisting it? Apparently,
the
you can put a very powerful magnet next to a flame and observe some pull of the fire toward the magnet. So this is based on
That's
real
cool. I
life.
didn't know
I
that.
did not think it was, and I was rolling my eyes a little bit. So,
Yeah.
today we learned something.
Yeah, science time with Blake and
Yeah,
Spencer.
yet
Anyways,
again.
so it turns out in order to fight this ability, though, the answer is press all the buttons. Because there his like nun friend who's there. She's like press all the Vulcan's like press all those buttons, and it like sends out all of these different things. And that is going to confuse her electromagnetic power thingy. And it's going to set it off so that Shinra can come in and kick all the kicks.
Yeah.
They are going to start to try to escape. Giovanni has gotten his key and he's trying to escape too. And the only thing that slows them down is getting out there and fighting against somebody who's standing in their way. Who does this person happen to be, Blake?
Yeah, so if you don't recall from our previous coverage, Shinra is an orphan. His mother and little brother were killed in a fire when he was very young. And now, after having been told by a character named Joker that his brother might be alive, he comes face to face with his brother alive. This character is
Mm-hmm.
named Sho and is basically Shinra but with white hair. And he is the leader of the White Clicks or really high up in the organization. I'm not
Yeah,
clear.
he's like a general.
Yeah, from watching this, I was like, is he the evangelist? And then later on, the way they talked about the evangelist, I was like, I don't think so. But at this point, when I
Mm-hmm.
was watching in this episode, I was like, this is the leader. This is like Sho is the evangelist, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
true. But I had thought that at this point. So Sho shows up, and Shinra basically immediately reacts with like jovial brotherly excitement, like, oh my gosh,
Oh
I'm so
yeah,
happy to see you, you're
he wants to
alive.
be best friends with him immediately and love on him and protect him and save him. And Sho's just like, "Who are you, fucker? I need to get you and take you back." And he's
Uh-huh.
just like, "But I want to be best friends." And then Sho's just like, "But I'm the fastest samurai in the land."
Yeah, he does an ability and we don't see it. It's that thing where he moves fast enough that like the effect on screen is that he's one place and then he's another place. um you also don't exactly see what he does. It does seem like he has a sword or something, and he must slash at Sho, but it's not like a he's not cutting him in half. It's something else. It's probably a
Yeah.
fire sword if I had to guess, although that's what Arthur does, so maybe it's different.
I,
uh
I, I honestly, as soon as I saw it, I was reminded of fucking Gear 2 from One Piece, which is like where Luffy uses his Gum Gum powers to like he superheat the water inside of his body so that he can move super fast. And so I'm wondering if it is like that same sort of thing or going to be talked about inside of this universe as if it is that. But we'll see in a minute, because it turns out the person that is going to save them so that they can escape from Sho is Joker. Joker is going
yeah.
to show up and he is going to fight against Sho. He is going to show that he can move super fast too, and he can fight with his like flame cards. And there's like this sweet battle, and at the end of it, Joker is just like, he's more powerful than I thought he was going to be, because he was just like, I was legitimately scared for my life.
Yeah.
So
And Sho does use, I think, a literal sword here. So I don't know what exactly. Maybe he's like backblading it, like Rurouni Kenshin style. I don't know what
yeah,
happens when he disappears, because he disappears and reappears, and then Sho has been hit. And I think that's a good way. We've talked a lot recently, I think mostly in our Bleach episodes. So, shout out to our Patreon members. We talked a lot about how do you introduce a villain and make them menacing, and
hmm
this is one way that I don't know that we've seen where I mean, I guess it's a modification of the like curb stomp a strong character trope that we've discussed. But yeah, in this instance, it's not quite a curb stomp, although I guess it is by some definitions. It's just like a blink and you miss it, you've already lost the fight kind of situation, and that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he has in story reasons for not killing Shinra, which I appreciate a lot. And so he just knocks him out in like one blow, basically. I don't think Shinra's completely incapacitated, but I mean, he's losing. Um,
Yeah.
I also
Shinra's
remember,
had some losses.
yeah, I also remember that at some point, Sho recognizes him. It is not immediately. Shinra recognizes Sho instantly, which is crazy because they haven't seen each other for a long time. But Sho doesn't recognize him, and I can't remember. Spencer, you might remember. Does he recognize Sho, or does Sho recognize Shinra before he strikes him, or is it after Shinra has been semi-incapacitated in the sort of pre-Joker escape section?
I don't 100% remember, but I know that he mostly is there to pick him up because he knows that he's somebody that has an Adola burst.
Yeah.
And he wants him for that reason. And then Sho is going to be awakened from his memories to Shinra, just because of like Shinra talking about it and talking about being his brother and those kind of things.
Yeah.
But he is also like completely. He doesn't give a shit about
doesn't
their
change his mind at
familial
all.
relationship.
Yeah, no, he's the direct opposite of Shinra here, which is great. It's good writing. But yeah, it's just like as much as Sho is like, let's drop everything and re-meet each other after all this time. Sho does not recognize him, which I think is a good. I mean, it's not the subtlest character development, but it's not right out there in front. It's like he doesn't recognize him immediately. Is a commentary on who Sho is, just as much as Shinra recognize him immediately is a commentary on who Shinra is. And in the same way, once he realizes who Shinra is, he's like, that's an interesting trivia point, and I'm gonna continue doing exactly what I was gonna do. No alterations to my plan. This is still the guy I'm looking for, and as far as I can tell, the guy they're looking for in order to like sacrifice him, or in some way use
or
him
something.
against us well. So
And,
so Joker shows up and beats Sho
saves the day.
Yeah, enough to escape. Which this is great too, because I think in the last episode, this guy Victor Licht, who is the like mad scientist we saw earlier when Joker was introduced, has recently joined Company 8, and I was like, this guy works for the villains. He works for the Evangelist, right?
He doesn't though. He works with Joker.
Yeah, so
he has like
Joker,
a whole meetup with Joker.
Right. So they're still allies. And Victor Licht is still not super trustworthy, but he's not working with the main villains that we're pursuing right now. He's doing something else. So
yeah,
that's fun.
The show does a really good job of like twisting and making you confused as it goes along, which is just solid writing. What would be expected from the writer of Soul Eater anyways. They are going to escape, and the villains are going to escape, go to lick their own wounds, and Victor is going to give you some questioning things from his meeting with Joker as well, where he is just going to give you like little tidbits of information of like what they might be up to a little bit, so you can be left with those breadcrumbs until next time, but in the meantime, Vulcan is going to take refuge with the Fire Company number 8. He's going to agree begrudgingly to become their engineer. He is also going to have like a cool moment at the end of the episode, where he's saying to his father and his grandfather, I know that we said that we were going to vow to never work with the Fire Force, but I'm going to have to break that promise, and you're just going to have to accept that. And it's just a great little bow end to that saga, or that quick little arc of the episodes that we saw, where it's like the go to get Vulcan arc, And it's a nice little bow tie that takes us into episode 18, The Secrets of Pyrokinesis. Training episode, montage episode. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, so we're gonna get some information about the Knights of the Ashen Flame, which is, I guess, the name of the order that we've been calling Whiteclad. That's they also call the Whiteclad. Um, and so that's gonna sort of set us up for our next arc that we're gonna go into. This is the episode where Victor and Joker meet up, and they are they are gathering, like, Victor is gathering evidence from the fight at Vulcan's workstation or workshop, and it's definitely super unclear to me if he's doing it for team, like, Company 8 purposes, or if he's doing it for secret scheme Victor Lick purposes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
It's really unclear if they're the bad guys, other bad guys, other good guys, or just agents of chaos. Like,
yeah,
it could be that what they're trying to do is just disrupt the world in order to create a civil war, and that in itself creates something else. But nobody really knows who they are at this point if you're watching the show at the same speed we are. And it makes them so complex as characters. And it just, I am constantly astonished by how good this show is with one giant, obnoxious, glaring error. We're not going to see in this episode specifically, but we're going to see in these episodes.
Yeah. So Shinmon Benimaru, who is the old-timey town captain from one of the other fire forces in a recent previous arc, he is going to train Shinra and Arthur so that they can have a quick power-up before we go into the next arc. I don't remember that we see Arthur's training in particular as much as he, gives us a primer on it when it's relevant later. But we do see that Shinra is going to have a pretty important moment. They explain a little bit about the way that he controls the expulsion of fire from his body. And Shinra's whole thing is that he can shoot fire out of his feet. And so he sort of jet propels himself around.
So it turns out one of the tricks inside of this world is a thing that we are going to take from a lot of different anime, which is that in order to control the power coming from you, you need to control the flow of energy within your own body. It turns out that Benimaru, one of the things that he does is he uses hand signals and hand signs in order to basically control what is happening inside of his body by creating a movement that also it's like a pressure point thing that he's doing inside of his own body. I'm like standing here doing it like this. So Shinra is going to be told that there is specifically like some pressure point in the middle of your hand where you're making like a tiger claw or something.
Are you doing it?
I'm doing it around. What's that?
Are you doing it into the camera? Because I'm doing it.
Yeah. So he does it. He does it, and he is able to all of a sudden control the flow of the energy that is down to his feet. And because of that, he is able to focus his flames into like a very tight, like jet engine style of power that moves out of him. And because of that, he is able to move much faster. And because of that, he is able to use what they are calling his final move, which he keeps on trying to name something that is really stupid, but they keep on vetoing the name of it being like his final move. But Shinra's gonna Shinra. And he is able to move like incredibly fast from that point forward in small bursts. Meanwhile, Arthur is basically told that his sword fighting is like his ultimate move. His problem is that he is just not good at fighting or being good at sneaking up on people or being good at focusing. So he just needs to work on being a better actual fighter.
Yeah, he's almost too stupid to function.
Yeah, basically. And so they go through all this training, and then we are left at the end of this episode going into episode 19 into the Nether. And this is going to be the first traveling we are going to see into a new place inside of the world. So it
Yes.
turns out,
So far, we've been in like
when
steampunk future city.
yeah, it turns out when we have been inside of like this overworld where all these people are worshiping the sun, right? Soul is what they're worshiping, right? And they have been told and indoctrinated their whole lives to be told that like underneath the city there is another city. There is a series of subway tunnels and possibly other things, and it is away from the light, and so they call it the Nether, which is like the closest place that you can get apparently to hell. And so you never should go down there. But it turns out from their investigations, specifically Victor's investigations, that the White Clad are hiding out in the Nether. So Fire Force Company 8 is going to get special dispensation from the big giant religious organization inside of the world to go down there, find the White Clad, and deal with them. So they're going to go down there and open up the Nether and go inside,
Yeah.
which leads to one of the actual funniest moments that I've seen on the show so far, which is they're so afraid of the Nether. You even have like flashbacks of Shinra being like told by his parents like ghost stories of the Nether. And they're all so afraid of it, and they go down and see like this big giant door, which is like their entrance that they're going to go into the Nether. And the door just starts opening ominously on its own, and everybody is like fuck, freaking out, and they're like, oh, it's the White Clad, they're coming in to like welcome us. And then it like cuts to Vulcan, and he's just like, oh cool, the electricity's still on, the door button still works.
He's totally nonplussed by this. I also love the world building here because at the start of the episodes, they'll give you like a little bit of backstory on like how the world works, and it's not the same every episode, which I think is interesting. But here you're getting some real like um, depth into maybe a little bit of what happened before as combined with that. So we know from the intros that basically one day people started turning into infernals and kind of society collapsed. And it seems like society is coalesced in a single point. I don't know if there's other nations, but it seems like for all intents and purposes, the place where our characters live is the place. And the infernalization kind of destroyed the previous world, but as they drive out to the Nether, you see like ruins of buildings that were just
Mm-hmm.
like normal kind of modern buildings if they were left to be ruined. And then they get to the Nether and it's just the subway tunnels, and one of the characters even remarks like, isn't it crazy that people in the past used to build tunnels underground for the trains? So like
Yeah.
they know the real world past purpose of this, and it's interesting to see that like how this world has changed. And I love that aspect of like the values and experiences of the people in the world currently as it is such that they can't even understand why something as commonplace to us in modern society as some places build trains and tunnels would be like completely baffling and also a source of abject terror to them. So I really, really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. And I think that it's the first time that I can remember that the show actually like spent any time on how the past exists to the people that live in the show's present.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an interesting build, which is going to give us like more gravity as we move forward. But before we can do any of that, we need to experience some girl fights, I think is what they're trying to do here.
Well, we
Um,
got to split the party. There's a character that is able to do fog, I guess is his thing. It's probably steam since we live in a fire-based world, but a great obscuring fog or steam comes over the party, and then the person that we met previously at the workshop, who is able to make mirages of himself. I think his name is literally Mirage.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think so too.
he creates various mirages of the characters in this group, and then pretty handily just sends them all in different directions so that they're all kind of left in like groups of one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This episode is interesting because it does a thing which, like, I don't know if it's pandering or not, but it definitely feels like there are two fights that are going to happen in this episode after everybody gets split up. So they split up into like little groups, and then they have their fights as they're split up because they're
Mm-hmm.
going to chase each other. They're dealing with like that white clad guy that can change people's faces, and so he's able to like convince people, to follow after them because he's like who's who, right? And then Mirage is able to like confuse people by showing them mirages of things running away, and so they're all trying to follow each other. They all get broken up from each other, and then we have some fights. The first one is going to be arguably way cooler in my opinion than the second fight,
Yeah, these
which
two
is going to
fights,
be.
you said this is the girl fights, and these
Mm,
are about as opposite as you can get from one another. Like the dichotomy between these two is crazy.
yeah, but I would argue that it almost feels a little bit pandering, but at the same time, it's also like, yeah, I guess. But both Flail and the other character we're going to meet in a little bit, who is another white clad, they
His
feel
name's
like
Slaughterer.
they are colored to be misogynistic. And so
Hmm.
the women of the Fire Force Company 8 are going to be shown to like, they're no pushovers sort of thing, which I don't know, like I think that the merit of these characters should stand on their own sort of thing, but it is what it is.
Well,
um
I'll push back on that a little bit, which is it's not that it's not misogyny, but it's I mean it's real world misogyny. It's a big a big dude who I don't know, in this world fights a lot, is very powerful. In our world, I don't know, works out a lot or has a big job or whatever, who just inherently dismisses women.
yeah,
And that's real shit. That's real world stuff. So I don't disagree that it's misogyny, but it doesn't feel out of place here. Like this guy is big and strong. He just kicked the asses of some of the characters that are associated with
yeah.
Maki, and so it's reasonable that he would think he would kick her ass whether or not she was a girl. But he does have
Yeah.
that sort of like real world thing of like, I'm a
I
guy,
think
you're a girl. This is not going to be a contest.
I think what I'm saying is going to be colored by the second fight more than anything else, though.
The second fight's a
It,
problem.
yeah, the second fight is a huge problem.
The second fight
But
is
the first one
real
is
world
just,
misogyny from the creator.
yeah, the Maki is going to absolutely fucking curb stomp this character, which is so
Yep.
fucking sweet.
This fight's great.
She uses her new weapons that she has gotten from Vulcan, which are basically two giant flying flame hammers that are controlled by the two flame spirits that she can create by controlling flame.
They're sort of like
She
disembodied mech arms. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's awesome. So this fight is one of the coolest fights in the show so far. I would definitely recommend watching it.
Hmm.
But it definitely feels like this specific fight is put here to like buffer the audience for the shit that is about to happen next, which is that the Iris and oh god and Tamaki are going to fight against this guy, who has been told immediately to be a complete monster, and like Show is just like, when he finds them he's going to take care of them and he might just kill all of them, which is god, what is this stupid name?
His name
um
is Assault. They're all
Assault.
named really simple descriptions of kind of how their powers work, which is fine. They're kind of running on X-Men rules. It's
his
fine.
power is make bullets fire bullet guns.
I think it's
And
supposed to be missiles or rockets, but they do look
they
just
look
like giant
bullets.
bullet shells. Yeah, it's probably supposed to be like missile warheads.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they move reinforces that. But yeah, at first I was like, oh, it's big bullets.
Yeah, and here's the problem. Tamaki as a character is literally like one of her powers is to make
It's not a power.
things awkward in a sexual way for no fucking reason.
Here's what this show does, and I generally don't like this, and I think the show gets by with most of it being fine. This is super common in anime. It's common in other ways in Western media, but it just manifests differently. But it is give your characters a quirk. Not like My Hero Academia. Give your characters something that they do that's silly. The joke aspect of them. So it's like I think our main character Shinra, his joke is that he can't, when he's stressed or upset, when his emotions are high, he gives a creepy smile. And this is sort of built into his character about the way that the world perceives him, stuff like that. But that's sort of like his weird quirk, and it's sort of cartoon logic quirk, and that's probably why I don't like this storytelling shortcut, because the humor comes from, oh, it's that thing again, and it's sort of like the same joke repeated 1,000 times. The woman that just finished the really good fight, Maki, has a quirk too, which is that she is self-conscious and mishears people as describing her unfavorably. She's very strong. She has an athletic build, so she routinely hears people call her ugly or like a gorilla, or in some way sort of like negatively reflecting on her physiology. It's very similar to Ed from Full Metal Alchemist reacting poorly to anybody stating in any way that he's short, except that the joke here is that they do not say it. She just hears them say it because she's so self-conscious about it that they can say anything, even a positive comment to her or something that is not related to that at all, and she will periodically just react by like comedy yelling about, why did you call me X or Y? And it's stupid. It's not a good joke. It's not a bad character trait, but it's only played for laughs, so it doesn't work well as a character trait like she's self-conscious about her body might. So the character trait of Tamaki is she's a cool cat power. Like her fire powers manifest as like a cat form. It's very cool. It's reminiscent a little bit of Naruto's Fox Cloak, especially the early versions. But the quirk, the joke, the recurring gag is that she randomly trips, and in doing so, her clothes fly off such that she is left in her skimpy underwear. And if there is a male character around,
assaulted in some way.
Yes, if there's a male character around, her breasts will make contact with their body, usually by her falling chest first into their faces. But we have seen more than once that she falls boob first into their hands, and it is assault, and it is not a good joke. And
it's not.
This fight is just an extended version of that joke, and it's fucking awful.
Yeah, and it feels it's one of those things where it literally makes you feel like you gave us a badass girl kicking the ass of this other guy in order to give us more chance of being okay with this fan service obnoxious thing that is about to happen to us. And I just hate it.
It's also bad Tamaki because she's cool. She's a cool character. Her powers are cool. And they just keep, instead of having her be cool, instead of letting her be a character, they just have her be tits. And it's so awful.
I don't like Tamaki's like quirk thing. It just like I was saying before, it feels like it is so out of what we need inside of the show, that it feels like they are taking away from the rule of cool inside of the show to just give us these moments, and I don't know who they're for, and I get frustrated about them every time, and
Yeah.
I wish I could just snip them out.
And
Anyways,
I
she
want
wins
to
her
move on,
fight.
but I also want to say anime comedy is not my thing. We've said this 1,000 times on the show. I just don't. I almost never find anime comedy funny, and it usually I encounter it as little gags in shows like this. And I said it about Full Metal Alchemist when we started covering it. As I referenced earlier in this conversation, I think Ed's thing about being short is stupid because it's played stupid. It's just beating a dead horse, and anime comedy in shonen is often just a gag that's cartoony in a show that's not.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to, if I want to watch cartoon humor, I'll go do it. I'm watching the shonen anime because I don't want that. And there's totally
Yeah.
exceptions. I think One Punch Man is a great exception. I also don't think the humor is particularly cartoony in that, so that might be why it's a good exception. But like it's not good. It's not deployed well, and this is a problem across almost all shonen anime that I have encountered in my entire life. But like
Yeah.
here it's so common for it to also bleed into fan service, and so for this character to be made cool and to be interesting, there's so many aspects about her that are interesting that we won't get into here because it's not relevant, but like she's interesting. She doesn't need this quirk at all to have a place in this story or to have something interesting that you can do with her. And in this fight she starts to do the cool thing, and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
here we go. And then
And
instead,
then they snatch it away from you.
yeah, and it's just so, it's such a cop out. It's so lazy and it's so fucking unsatisfying. And it is that thing, and again, like there are people that like humor, not necessarily this joke, but some of the other jokes that this show does, and I generally find none of the jokes funny and I wish they would end. But like
Yeah.
it's okay if you like this anime humor, it's fine. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing to like this style of joke generally, but this joke is a bad joke, and it to undercut a cool moment at the end of a cool episode by doing such a lazy, ill-advised joke is just such a disappointment. And honestly, if we weren't covering this show, the coolness might not have been enough for me to continue watching it after this because this scene was so egregious.
Yeah. Anyways, let's jump into episode 20, Wearing His Pride. Three things happen in this episode. Two of them are really cool. One of them is just real quick. Shinra is going to meet up with Licht. He's going to use his new power in order to defeat the White Clad that are fighting him immediately, which is pretty cool. He is able to show that he is able to move so fast that the White Clad, who has Victor Licht almost, the blade is to his throat, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just like, you're gonna have to stand down if you want to keep this person alive. And Shinra's able to like jump over there so fast with his new ability that he's able to knock him out, and the guy was able to stab Licht.
Yeah, this was a
um
risky maneuver because it could have gone wrong in a lot of ways. But I will say
yeah,
that what I like a lot about it is that Shinra is able to essentially move so fast that he disappears from one spot and reappears in another, like we just
like
saw
we've
his
seen with
brother
his
do.
brother. Yeah. um Next thing, there is a fight that is going to happen at the very end of this episode, where it is going to show that Arthur has gained the ability to finally fight against the Mirages.
Well, there's a
And
whole sniper
he is,
fight that happens first.
yeah, but
Uh,
the main part of the episode, like I was going to say, is the sniper fight that happens between Lieutenant Hinwa and I think her name is Arrow.
yeah,
And it is basically them shooting at each other through a tunnel in different ways. And Arrow showing off that she can move her arrows and also explode her arrows. And then Hinwa showing off this insane ability, which is like, he can fire these bullets at like such an extreme velocity by increasing the amount of fire that is exploded from the gunpowder that was released in the edge of the bullet, that it like he carries around a box full of rifle barrels, because every time he uses this ability, it destroys the edge of the barrel or the end of the barrel, like a cartoon from Bugs Bunny,
Yeah.
where like Elmer Fudd's gun explodes at the end of it. Except for he's firing basically what he turns in a normal bullet turns into an explosive fire missile, and they don't even need to hit his opponent. They just need to be fired close enough to them in order, like a rocket launcher. And he is going to use this a bunch of times. They're going to have like a stalemate where they're basically both hurt enough to where they don't have very much firepower to do left, and they get into a final shot. Hinwa almost commits this like grave injustice inside of like the anime world, which is like him being like, I can't fight anymore, but he's like, well, I have to find the strength to move on. And he fires at the same time Shiyu fires her arrow, and he uses the flame of her arrow to steal from to make his bullet more powerful, and ends up taking out Arrow. But in the last moments, he's like barely able to stand up and do anything for himself, and he is going to be confronted by these two assholes who have been watching the whole time, which is Mirage and
The
what
other
is
guy.
art guy from every anime.
I guess it's Yona, according to the Wikipedia article, but I
Yeah,
don't know that they said it
he's
during this.
he's not important.
Yeah, he's just a sneaky snake. I think he might be the source of the fog, but maybe that was Mirage. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great because it's a rematch between Arthur and Mirage. So they are about
Well,
to.
first he has to get down there though, because
Yeah,
we have that great moment where like they're about to kill him, and before they do, Hinwa has this last moment where he fucking flips a bullet out of his hand into fire and then controls it so it shoots up into the ceiling, explodes the ceiling, but he had heard Arthur above them, and so he creates a hole in the ceiling so Arthur can get down there and fight them. It's so fucking cool.
yeah.
Hinwa is just such a fucking cool character.
He's so cool because the ricochet power is cool on its face. It's one of those things where you start Fire Force and you're like, that's awesome. And then like you get to this fight, and when he steals the heat or the fire from Arrow to like turn their shooting at each other, and instead of like their I don't know, it's such a good fake out because it's like you think his bullet's gonna get like knocked away and dissolved by her fire arrow, which will pass through and like pierce him, but instead he like negates her attack by stealing it and then shooting her
Yeah.
more better with his attack.
So fucking
So
cool.
cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, so he uses his ability. It's a great fake out because he shoots Mirage through the head to do it, but the Mirage that he shoots through the head was a Mirage, and they're kind of like, you wasted your last shot, and he's like, nah, it didn't. So then Arthur shows up, and he and Mirage fought in our last episode's worth of coverage at the workshop, and Arthur could not defeat the Mirage and was defeated when Mirage turned one of his Mirages into a mirror image of Arthur and made Arthur look at how foolish he looked, and sort of like Arthur's power was based on his misconceptions about how cool he looked, and when he realized that he looked like a dummy, he sort of lost his mojo and was defeated easily. Here Arthur is coming off of the off-screen training arc that he just went through, and Mirage is like, I beat you last time, I'm going to beat you the same way. And Mirage's tactic is to make a bunch of versions of himself. They all have knives, and they're all going to lunge at you in killing blows, and he's going to send his Mirages after you until you react. And when you react to defend yourself against the not real version, he takes the opportunity and the opening that you give him to stab you for real and kill you. And
Yeah.
he goes through 2 or 3 different attacks that Arthur does not respond to. He's like, he'll respond this way. Everybody always responds this way. And then when he doesn't, he does a few more of those. For Arthur's part, we hear in his internal monologue, and I think we get a little bit of a flashback to his training, that's like, he gets taught that basically like the act of committing to a killing blow against somebody requires a physical preparation and commitment that you can hear as a breath. And so
Yeah.
Arthur needs to have battle sense enough to listen for the breath and respond to that instead of just swinging wildly at everything that comes his way.
And they give you a fake out too, because like you have a moment where he hears a breath, and then you see that it's Hinwa breathing, and he slices above Hinwa, and you're just like, oh shit, he's still an idiot. And Hinwa is going to be like, did you fucking stab at me just because I was breathing? And he was like, no. And then it cuts to behind the pillar where he slashed, and it was Mirage taking like the killing breath because he was going to sneak up and kill Hinwa while he is down. And it was just like this great fake out moment, man. It was really fucking cool.
Yeah, because Arthur's been such a dumb ass, and he's undercut all of his coolness by doing something just like that before. So it was a really good way to use the expectations that they've created for us for this character against us to give us a fun surprise.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
and then this episode is going to leave off with the different people that are down here, the White Clads, talking to each other, making decisions that they are going to go out and they are going to deal with the different characters. They're going to send Lisa out to deal with it. They announced that her name is Feeler, which is stupid.
Well, it's because everybody else has a really simple name based off of what their power kind of does, and she's got a lot of tentacles, so why not?
Yeah.
They should have called her Squid or Octopus because of the tentacles, but they didn't ask me.
Yeah. That leaves us at the end of our episodes this week. So, stick with us after these credits, and we'll talk about what's coming on next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped. If you're interested in finding more episodes of our show, you can join us over at getjump.buzzsprout.com. It has all of our links for our social media and for our Discord as well if you want to get involved and start chatting with us. Also, if you are interested in more content like Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, or you just want to read random musings on Blake's blog, you can go over to thegeeklygrind.com. You can get all of our episodes there, as well as weekly content from Blake's blog. All right, see you next time.
Next time on Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, we're watching Naruto Shippuden, episodes 324 through 328.
Did you want to watch more mooks get murdered? Well, you've come to the right place. The ninja war is in full swing, and everybody that doesn't have a name is basically a red shirt.
Maybe even some people that do have names.